This investigation began in April of 2025, and it culminated with 2 court-ordered wire intercepts at the end of the year. This is an organized gang, and this is gang members, and they're not all from the same gang. They're actually members from different gangs, but it's an organized criminal enterprise. That's why you'll see that we're charged RICO in a lot of these. We focused on trafficking in fentanyl and trafficking in methamphetamine. As a result of this investigation and thousands of hours, investigative hours, we made 51 arrests. We charged 10 with racketeering. There were 78 pounds of meth seized, 14.55 pounds of fentanyl, enough, as you can see, to kill 3,300,000 people. 13 firearms were seized, $20,000 in cash. We did a drug roundup that began on January the 30th, and part of these 51 arrests occurred with 32 warrants being attempted, and we served all but 5. There are 5 folks that are still wanted. You see them on the board here. Those 5 suspects, even though they're at large, they won't stay at large. We will find them. But it's important, and I highlight, and the reason for this entire operation, fentanyl traffickers are killing people across this county, this state, and this nation just as sure as someone putting a gun to our victim's head and shooting them in the head. So that's why we're here. We're of one heart, and we're of one beat as we go after these fentanyl traffickers. Today we're going to, as they say in the gang world, lace you up. We're going to talk about the gangbangers who are selling this poison and who won't sell this poison any longer. Let me explain that Operation Flatline was the second T3 or wire intercept, but I'm going to speak briefly about it first so that you will understand how urgent what we do is. And then I'm going to turn it over to the Attorney General and the other speakers. But it's important to understand that these are our victims. Terry Morris, who's 50 years of age, is dead. He got his drugs from a guy who goes by the name of Knowledge. Angela Valente, who's 42, is in a nursing home, unconscious, since she overdosed in mid-December, and there's no indication that she's ever going to recover. Dante Trenton Neoff is 21. He's dead. He's from Haines City. He died in his bedroom. The drug was supplied by Knowledge. Madeline Smith, 21, from Winter Haven, is dead. She died at the hospital from a drug overdose from drugs she got from Knowledge. I was actually at the hospital and saw them trying to save Madeline's life. However, that didn't happen. Folks, I want you to look at this. This is someone's grandchildren. This is someone's children. This is someone's brother and sister. These are real people that these folks are killing with their trafficking in fentanyl. And that's why we're here. So who is Knowledge? Knowledge is William Newton Jr. He's 39. He's from Winter Haven. He's currently on probation for sale of cocaine. Did you hear what I said? He's already on probation for sale of cocaine while he's out dealing in fentanyl. We also have him under investigation, as you may understand, for murder. He has new charges of sale of fentanyl that we filed, trafficking in cocaine, trafficking in fentanyl, violation of probation. But I want to talk to you a minute about the quickest T3 or wire intercept the Sheriff's Office has ever done. It may be one of the quickest ones ever done across the state or the United States. And I want to brag on Brian Haas and his team. So we're in the middle of what we call Operation Bloodline, doing this investigation, and all of a sudden, mid-November, 1st of December, people are falling over dead. These folks, they are in serious shape. Others that we've not even listed here went to the hospital and recovered. But all of a sudden, we have this real upsurge of fentanyl overdoses. We do something that I hope is not unique. Not only do we send our homicide team out to do the death investigations, but we send a narcotics team out to work with them. So we immediately, through our homicide detectives and our narcotics detectives, determine that William Newton is supplying the fentanyl. So we try to go undercover and arrest him. He's too smart for that. You see, he's been to Florida State Prison for trafficking in cocaine on a minimum mandatory before. He has 8 previous felony charges. 8 previous arrests, 7 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. So we had to do something proactively and quickly to figure out how to stop him from dealing this fentanyl, because he was killing people. We were watching them die before our very eyes. And that's when Nicole Orr, who's one of the directors for State Attorney Haas, received permission and immediately did a T3 order. We literally went up on this order on a Thursday. It was written just as quickly as we could get the data together. By Sunday, we went down on this order and we caught him. That quick. Brian Haas and his state attorneys, our detectives, saved untold lives because we did a proactive T3 in order to stop this guy from spreading all of this horribleness throughout this county. Make no mistake about it. Lives have been saved because of the hard work of our undercover detectives, who are the very best. Now, it's important to understand that that is only part of the investigation. The other part of the investigation, I will end with my flashcards. Y'all would be very upset if I didn't have flashcards, okay? After we hear from our speakers. First, I want to introduce James Uthmeyer. He is the Attorney General for the state of Florida. He simply is the very best. He works every day with his team in order to save lives, prosecute bad guys, and make Florida, the free state of Florida, the best place to live. We turn to him and to our state attorney, Brian Haas, who I will introduce second, immediately. And what we receive is yes, yes, and yes, let's prosecute them, let's hold them accountable. As you'll hear later on, if these people aren't locked up, they're selling drugs and killing people. This Attorney General and his team make sure that we lock them up for just as long as we can. Our state attorney, Brian Haas, is remarkable. We talk almost every day of the week about strategies. Who are we going to put in jail? How long can we keep them in jail? Can you help on the T3? And his answer is always yes, yes, yes. I hear some sheriffs from around the state, around the country saying, hey, it's a frustrating thing to work with our state attorney's office or our prosecutor's office. That doesn't happen here. It's nice to have a state attorney's office and Brian Haas as our state attorney and his team that instead of looking for ways not to prosecute cases, look for ways to prosecute cases. And that's unique. So if you want to see a real prosecutor, you look at General Uthmeyer and you look at Brian Haas, our state attorney, the state attorney, because they understand that we are concerned about the safety and security of the overall majority of the people in this state, and we're not worried about the criminals except when they're not locked up, and these guys do the very best. You know, I continue to see in articles across the state and nation about drugs are low level and nonviolent. I want you to look at this. Look at this gun. Look at these guns. Look at this fentanyl that enough to overdose and kill 3.3 million people. And the next time you hear someone suggest that drugs are low level and nonviolent, you too can clearly understand that they're a nut, that they need mental health counseling. Because our agents and deputies and detectives are facing this kind of firepower to bring these kind of people into custody. They're very, very, very dangerous people. And I'm about to go over the cards with you, and I think you'll understand when you see the cards why these people are very dangerous. Because they have guns and they don't mind using them. And I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to just flip through them very quickly. I'm not going to try to make the lineage and tie all of that together. We can give you that through the PIOs. But I'm just going to give you a snapshot. This is Eric McCaskill from Winter Park. He's 36. He was released from the Florida State Prison in 2020 for trafficking in meth. He was sentenced on a 3-year minimum mandatory. He drove to Polk County with 14 pounds of meth. When he was arrested, he said, well, I knew not to mess around in Polk County, but he did, and he's caught. He is a gang member. He's charged with RICO, with trafficking, and he's facing a 15-year mid-man. As State Attorney Haas said, what's important about these minimum mandatories? Because judges can't listen to family members and sob stories and alligator tears and to go, well, heck, he's such a nice young man, and end up giving him 2 years. When what he is, he's a drug-dealing person who's responsible for the deaths of folks. But he's got a criminal history. He's got 30 other felonies, 26 misdemeanors. He's been to Florida State Prison 2 times, once for trafficking and once for fleeing arrest. And then there's Spencer Leonard, 37, in Bartow. He was released from Florida State Prison in 2020 for trafficking in heroin on a 5-year minimum mandatory. Oh, he fled from us when we went to arrest him. Now he's charged with RICO and trafficking in fentanyl, over 28. That's a 25-year minimum mandatory. He also has a criminal history of 12 felony arrests and 12 misdemeanors. He has been to state prison on 2 other occasions. Now, you hear and you're going to hear this drumbeat. They've been to prison. They've been to prison. When they're not locked up, they're out peddling drugs and peddling violence. Stephen Jackson's 32. He's from Winter Haven. He's a gang member. He stole a kilo of fentanyl from an associate. That usually doesn't bode well for your life expectancy. We probably saved his life when we arrested him from being shot by another gangbanger. He traveled to California as a connection from the California to Polk County to bring the drugs. He has a criminal history of 23 felonies, 14 misdemeanors. He, too, has been to Florida State Prison on 2 different occasions. This is Umbuju Grant. He's 34. He's from Lakeland. He is second in command of this gang whose name we're not going to give. We have him charged currently with conspiracy to traffic in meth. He's had 17 felony arrests, robbery with a firearm on 2 different occasions, and 7 misdemeanors. If you don't think this guy won't point a gun in your face before quick, just encounter him on a dark alley one night. Michael Wells is 34. He's a gang member. He's a meth supplier. We have him charged with RICO, trafficking meth. It's a 15-year minimum mandatory. On one occasion, when we were monitoring his phone calls, he was talking to one of his associates, and he said, "Man, my phone connection's bad. I guess maybe they're tapping my phone." He might have been a prophet also, because he was right. We were listening to his phone call. He has a criminal history, and he's known to be violent. He has 11 felonies, 4 misdemeanors, and he did an armed burglary with a firearm. This is Tonyo Cortez Evans. He's 40. He's from Eagle Lake. He's a gang member. He fled from the deputies when we tried to take him down. Tried to run over a deputy, rammed another deputy. There were multiple shots fired on this particular occasion. He has a 15-year mid-man. He's also charged with attempted murder on law enforcement officers. He is a bad guy. He's got a criminal history. He doesn't want to go to jail. He's had previous drug arrests, resisting arrests, VOPs, fleeing. He has 35 felonies and 39 misdemeanor arrests. He's active committing crime. This is Joshua Pucklewarts. Yeah, common spelling. He's 33 from Tampa. He is a rapper. He's known as Tommy Boy Wayne. Well, if my last name was Pucklewarts, I'd probably go by Tommy Boy Wayne too. But he's really a popular rapper in Central Florida. He's also a meth supplier. He fled from the highway patrol. That didn't get him very far because they caught him. They crashed him into a bridge, or he crashed into a bridge. He had 11.8 pounds of meth. He's facing a 15-year mid-man, so he can rap his way all the way to state prison. This is Jamarian Young. He's 36. He's known as Shiesty. He's the highest-ranking member of the gang in Florida. They call him the landlord. He's charged with RICO, trafficking in fentanyl, trafficking in meth. They're 25-year mid-mans. But he did tell the detectives when we arrested him, "Hey, you all did a really good job of catching me." He's already served 15 years in the Florida State Prison sentence for armed robbery with a firearm. And he's on his way back. There's Jarrell Carr. Jarrell Carr's 35. He's from Mulberry. And Bruce Young. Bruce is 37 from Lakeland. Pay attention to this. He's released from the Florida State Prison on November the 29th of last year. Got that? On the very same day, he started negotiating dope deals. The day he's out. We have him for conspiracy to traffic, racketeering, 15-year mid-man. Newsflash, he's a gang member. He has a criminal history with 11 felonies, kidnapping for ransom, traffic, 21 misdemeanors. And then there's Jarrell Carr. He's known as Solid. He's a gang member. He really was released from Florida State Prison in June. He was serving 7 years for a trafficking in meth. I forgot to say he was serving 7 years for trafficking in meth. He fled from the highway patrol. Didn't do any good. They caught him because the highway patrol catches people they pursue. He was charged with racketeering, trafficking in fentanyl, trafficking in meth. He's got a 25-year mid-man. Look, folks, I want to end with this. These folks just got out of serving 7 years in prison for trafficking in drugs, and they're back trafficking in drugs. This is your poster child or poster children. If you don't lock these people up, they are going to commit crimes. They're prolific criminals. That is their career. That is their business. they're gang members, and they work together. They say one heart, one beat. But what you see here today is one heart, one beat to arrest all of them that are doing their best to kill folks like these people here. So with that, you have all the information that we have. God bless you. Have a good weekend.